Welcome to episode 90 of Norse Myths, Legends, and Folktales. My name is MyLinda Butterworth, and today we continue the Saga of Thorstein and learn what happens to his brothers when they find Halfdan in chapter 16 of Viking Son. Chapter 16. Now, the brothers busked themselves for leaving and continued their walk until they reached a great chasm, which seemed to Thorstein it would be very dangerous to pass. Nevertheless, he made himself ready to leap over the abyss and did it. He was immediately followed by Thorer, and when Thorstein had reached on the other side of the chasm and looked round, Thorer had just reached the same side and was falling down into the chasm. Thorstein succeeded, however, in seizing him and pulling him up again. Said Thorstein then, "Brother, you always show that you are a dauntless fellow. So you did now too, for you might know that it would be certain death if you should fall into the chasm." "It did not happen this time," answered Thor, "for you saved me as you so often have done before." Then they proceeded on their journey until they came to a large river, which was both deep and rapid. Thorstein said they must look for the ford, but without delay, Thor waded into the river, and not far from the bank the water was so deep that the bottom could not be reached, and therefore he had to sustain himself by swimming. Thorstein, not being minded to be standing on the bank, threw himself into the river and swam after him. Thus they reached the other bank, where they wrung their wet clothes. But while they were doing this, the weather grew so bitterly cold that their clothes froze hard as a stone, and so they could not put them back on. At the same time, a fearful snowstorm arose, and it was thought that Ogatom was the cause of it. Thorstein asked Thor what was the best thing for them to do. Answered Thor, "I think we can do nothing better than to dip our clothes in the river, for in cold water things soon thaw out." So they did, and thereby were able to put on their clothes again. Then they went on until they came to the byre of Vogs. It being night when they came there, the door of the house was locked, so they could not enter. They kept knocking at the door a long time, but nobody came to it. In the yard lay a beam 20 fathoms long. This they brought upon the roofs of the houses, and they rode upon it in such a manner that every timber began to creak, and all the inmates of the house became so frightened that they ran each into his corner. Then Halfdan went to the door and out of the fright yard, and the brothers now went over to him and greeted him. Halfdan gave them a cold and reserved answer, asking them, however, for their names. They gave him their names, adding that they were the sons of Jarl Viking, and that they brought greetings from the letter to him. Said Halfdan, "I cannot talk about foster brothership between us. To me it seems that many a man keeps his word of foster brothership, but middling well, and no more. And as for you, who have slain the most of King Niorf's sons, it also seems to me that you have not regarded the sanctity of foster brothership in respect to many of Niorf's descendants. Still, you may enter my house and lodge here tonight, if you like." Then Halfdan went in at a swinging pace, followed by the brothers. They entered the stofa, the sitting room, where there were but a few persons. Nobody took the clothes off the brothers, and thus they sat during the evening till people began to go to bed. Then a dish containing porridge and a spoon in each end of it was placed on the table before them. Thorer began to eat the porridge. Said Thorstein then, "You are very inconsistent in regard to your pride," and so saying, he took the dish and threw it on the floor in the further part of the room, so that it broke into pieces. Hereupon the people went to bed. The brothers had no bed, and got but very little sleep during the night. Early in the morning they got up and bussed themselves for leaving. But when they had got outside the door, the old man came to them and asked them, "What did you say last night? Or whose sons did you say you were?" Made answer Thor, "What more do you know now than when we told you we were the sons of Jarl Viking?" Said Thorstein, "Here is a golden finger ring which he begged me to give you. I think he will be the worse off who shows him anything of it." Made answer Thorstein, "Be not so peevish, brother. Here is the gold ring as a token that you should receive us in such a manner that we might be comforted and protected at your house." Halfdan took the ring, became glad, and said, "Why should I not receive you and do all the good in my power to you? Do so is my duty, an account of my relations to my friend Viking. You seem to be men blessed with good luck." Said Thor, "The adage is indeed a true one, that it is good to have two mouths for the two kinds of speech. Last night, soon after we had come to you, you treated us quite otherwise. I therefore am inclined to think you a coward, and you everywhere show your slyness." Said Thorstein, "Let us be patient, Halfdan, with my brother, although he is cross in his words to you, for he is a reckless man in his words and doings." Answered Halfdan, "I have heard that you are the most doughty of men, and that Thor is hot-tempered and reckless. Still, I think that you are in every respect a man of more spirit." Hereupon they went into the house. Their clothes were taken off them, and every attention was shown them. They stayed there during the winter and enjoyed the most hearty treatment. But in the beginning of spring, Thorstein said to Halfdan, "We shall now leave this place." Answered Halfdan, "What is your best advice?" Thorstein answered, "I wish you would give me a ship manned with a crew, for I intend to set out and wage war and gain booty." To this Halfdan gave his consent. After busking themselves properly, they sailed to the south, along the coast of the country, until they met with two vessels which had been sent out by their father, and were filled with men and good weapons. Now Thorstein sent back the ship which had been given to him by Halfdan, and sent the crew with it. But the brothers became skippers, one on each of the two ships. They waged wars in many places during the summer, and gained much fame and fee. In the fall they landed on an island which was ruled by the Bonde, whose name was Grim. He bid them stay with him through the winter, and they accepted his offer. Grim was married and had an only daughter by the name of Thorer, a tall and fine-looking girl. Thor fell in love with her, and told his brother Thorstein that he wanted to marry her. Thorstein talked about the matter to Grim the Bonde, and the latter flatly refused to give his consent. Answered Thorstein, "Then I challenge you to fight with me in a holmgang, a duel, and he who wins shall be master of your daughter." Grim said he was ready for the holmgang. That next day they took a blanket, which they threw under their feet, and then they fought the whole day very bravely. But in the evening they parted, neither of them having received any wound. The second and third days they fought, but the results were the same as the first day. One day Thor asked the daughter of the Bonda how it came to pass that Grim could not be vanquished. She said there was a forepart of his helmet, a stone, which made him quite invincible as long as it was not taken away from him. This Thor told to Thorstein, and on the fourth day of their fight, Thorstein threw his sword, grasping the helmet of his antagonist with both his hands with so great force that the cords of the helmet were severed. Shortly after he attacked Grim, and now Thorstein's greater strength was shown. He brought Grim down, but gave him quarter. Then Grim asked who had advised him to take the helmet. Thorstein said that Thorer had told it to Thorer. "Ah, ha, 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 ha. Then she wants to be married," answered Grim, "and it shall be so." Thus it was resolved that Thorer should marry Thorer. In the beginning of spring, Thorstein set out to carry on wars, leaving Thorer at home. The newly married couple took to loving each other very much, and they got a son, whom they named Harold. This was their only child. He afterward took his father's Kisa, after which he was nicknamed, and was called Harald Kisa. And here is where I end my tale for today. But I'll be back with more tales. Many more tales. Until then, my friends, enjoy the journey.